by Ike Nnaebue. I want us to take a 5 minutes break, or should we just go into the panel discussion? We should go on. We should just go on. Yes. Okay. All right. Majority carried the vote. I think we are still like, are we the only democracy in West Africa presently? Is Nigeria the only democracy in West Africa? At least around our border. Except from Ghana. Okay. If you are just joining us, that was no use one. So now we'll begin the second part of the event, which is the panel discussion. I will now invite the panelists to this side of the hall. Yes, so I'll start with Ms Iziengbe. Can you please join us here? Iziengbe Ebuka-Onuoha is a scholar in the history of Benin women. Her area of focus is on women and youth migration in Benin, that is Benin in Edo State. She has carried out several field work on trafficking for sexual exploitation in Benin and has won several grants for different field work. She lectures at the Department of History and International Studies at the University of Benin. She's currently in the final stage of her PhD program at the Department of History here at the University of Ibadan. Her PhD thesis is titled Benin Women and Boulet Boys in International Prostitution, 1980 to 2018, which also deals with the issues of migration in Benin, and she has published in both local and international journals. Please welcome Ms. Iziengbe. And our second panelist is Mr. Bey. Please join us. Mr. Feyisitan Ijimakinwa. Feyisitan Ijimakinwa is a diaspora and transnational studies researcher at the Institute of African Studies, University of Ibadan, Nigeria. He is also a fellow of the Institute for Central Research on Africa, French Institute for Research in Africa, IFRA, Nigeria, with research interest in migration, diaspora collections, environmental humanities, anthropology, cultural diplomacy, and African history. Feyisitan is a project consultant with Migrant Rights Project, a not-for-profit organization, and a rights regular column in Business Day newspaper. He is a frequent public affairs commentator on radio and television. And of course, I'm your humble servant at TFS. For those who are just joining us, my name is Adejoke. Yes, Adejoke Abiola for today. So, we had some house rules, grand housekeeping earlier during the panel, before the screening, and I did say that we should try to keep our mobile phones and electronic devices on silence. We should refrain from talking or making noise that will disturb the audience. And if you want to share notes from this discussion or also from the film, please use the hashtag TFSXGIMigration or GIXTFSMigration. And I announced earlier, if you don't want to appear in pictures, please just meet one of those. Kiona, please let them see you. See Kiona, see Mide, and what's your name? Look at the camera. Iziengbe, and Iziengbe, so that we can call you out if you don't want to appear in pictures. And if you have friends that want to join this event, we are live streaming this panel session on Facebook. The Facebook name is Thursday Film Series, so share with your friends. They are free to join and share your advances. Yes, so if you are just joining us again, you've just seen No U-Turn, a biographical documentary film directed by the Nigerian filmmaker Ike Nnaebue. In the revealed, he revisits his attempt to migrate to Europe 27 years ago, traveling by road through West Africa. The documentary explores the motivation and challenges faced by young Africans who embark on this risky journey in search of a better life and future. Through interviews with migrants, smugglers, activists, and experts, the film sheds light on the harsh realities and human cost of irregular migration and the historical and political factors that shapes it. Housekeeping rules for my panelists. So you have 3 minutes to answer your question. That is, I think, the first question. You have 3 minutes to answer that, because I would want you to share your expertise based on your scholarship. And subsequently, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds for the other question. Please, I will allow you to stop it down at 20 seconds. And please, audience and panelists, when you have a mic, respect the time limits and the moderator's cues. So when I do like this, that means random. And by the time I do like this, you stop. Mid-sentence. You have to stop. I'll give you opportunity to say 2 more words to stop. So let's just get into it. My first question to Ms Iziengbe is the same question for both of you. I'll just start with that. What question or thoughts did the film raise for you?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Nathan. The first question that the film raised for me is the issue of female migration and how it has increased over the years. You see, Ike was talking about him traveling 27 years ago, and at that point there were not much women around and traveling alone. But at this point, when he was relocating again, trying to use the same route, lots of young women. Then the issue of Anita. In my field work, I have noticed, especially in Benin, that family members who had migrated out of Benin many years ago are usually the ones that want to bring their other family members to Europe and other parts of the world. So let me, since I still have some few minutes, let me give a brief history of how this international sex trade, which I work on, actually started. From the late 1970s and late 1980s, Benin's had always had a relationship, even in the colonial period, they've had a relationship with the Italians because of the beads. You can see me wearing coral beads here. They use the coral beads for traditional rites and all that in Benin. So they've always had a relationship, and the women are always buying these things from the Italians. So at a point in time, the Italians had big farms, and Benin men worked there. Some of them also went there for schooling. And while they were on holidays, they worked on those farms. So some of these women, while working, they saw advances from Italian men. I found that if you follow an Italian man, you can get close to your salary in a month, in less than how many days. Even they can even pay you more. There was a lot of money in it at that point. I'm talking about 1980s. So when they come back home, they tell their people, one thing you must understand in Benin is that we are a communal people, as in everybody is tied to each other. What immediately a thing favors you, you get back home and tell the others and bring them into it. So that was how it started, you know. The first set of people, you see anybody talking about Benin, international sex trade, they always talk about trafficking. Point of correction, the first set of people were not trafficked. They went on their own. These narratives are not clear. They went to look for greener pasture. It was not the first time Benin women come into the situation where Benin Kingdom is almost about to fall. If they, for example, gave a life for the sustenance of Benin, that's one of the heroines I studied in my master. In Mota, many of them had always given themselves. So these women had used themselves as sacrifice for Benin to stay together for several years. This is from the pre-colonial period to the colonial period, and we are talking about the post-colonial period now. It was not a new thing. Now there are economic crises, in the 1980s, from 1985 with the Naira devaluation and everything. So these women also stood into the shoes again and began to bring solution back home when they saw that there was a flourishing sex industry, that the Italian men actually loved black women. So they began to tell it among themselves, and that was how it started. Before we got to the trafficking issue, I'm not talking about the preamble. Thank you.
Okay. So I think for her, the film actually raises the question of the so-called stereotypes of Benin people and the people migrating outside the country. So the same question from Mr. Feyi to Mr. Feyi. What question or thoughts does the film raise to you?
Thank you very much. For me, there were two basic things. One, almost everybody wants to be a cosmopolitan. That means you want to belong, you want to be a global citizen. But you find out that what the film raises is the fact that cosmopolitanism may be an attractive thing, but there are more survivalist cosmopolitans than normative cosmopolitans. A normative cosmopolitan is somebody who can afford to go for summer, you can take a holiday, you can go for vacation, you travel. But there are more people who are survivalist cosmopolitans, and that is what, immediately you leave your border, you become a survivalist cosmopolitan. You want to be a global citizen, but you don't have the credentials except the fact that you are a human being. So for every step of the way is about survival, and that's what we see. You get, Ike said, when he left primary school and he was ready to go to secondary school, he was thinking that was the next stage of his life. But what happened? Life presented a crossroad to him. The parents chose, or the mother chose, go and become an apprentice. It was during, while his apprenticeship was going on, he heard about the story of people going to Europe. At every point, there's always a crossroad. But as you negotiate that crossroad, you are either a normative or you are a survivalist. Unfortunately, being a survivalist means you will pay different prices. For some people, it stopped at Benin. For some, it went as far as Burkina Faso. For some people, it went as far as Tangier. For some, it went as far as Gibraltar. For some, it went as far as Malaga in Spain. And for some people, now, personal experience or a mere personal experience. My younger brother finished from second, two younger brothers. My baby brother, our last born, was studying English at Ogun State University. And because my father was already retired, I told him, okay, I'll be responsible for your education, myself and my younger brother. And one day he confided in me. I've just got opportunity to travel to the UK. His name is Femi, that I'm going to change my surname. And remember, Ken said, it is about crisis, identity crisis. So my brother, whose name is Femi Ijimakinwa, today is known as Femi Williams. And he got deported from the UK, but he went to the UK with South African passport. So he was deported back to South Africa. He's been living in South Africa for the past 17 years. My younger brother, the one after me, is a missionary. He left Nigeria, went into Liberia to obey the call of God as a missionary. 7 months into being a missionary in Liberia, the Liberian civil war broke out. And he never came back until after 9 years. But when he left after the war, he relocated to Senegal, married a Liberian, an American Liberian, lived in Senegal before he came back. So at every point in time, everybody is negotiating either to be a normative cosmopolitan or to be a survivalist cosmopolitan.
Thank you very much. I think in the advert we made for this event, we talked about the socioeconomic factors and more importantly, the personal experiences of migration. I thought people were just going, my panelists were just going to reflect on the personal experience and share them with them. But I like the fact that they are bringing life stories, experiential intervention into this discussion. They are already preempting the questions I have for them. So, okay. Africa's abundant natural resources and human capital have the potential to drive the continent's growth and development. However, the perception that Africa is an extractive continent has hindered its progress. Africa as an extractive continent, both human and mineral resources. She talked about trade, the trade relation between Benin women and Italians, the coral trade business. He talked about identity, and I want to preempt that one of the reasons why Femi had to change to William was also because there was some socio-economic factors related to it. So my next question, which also will take into consideration the fact that the continent is plagued by political conflicts, which includes tribal violence, like what Christelle, the lady with Samina in the film, the lady that was with a baby, breastfeeding, like what she said about Ivory Coast. So my next question is this. In what ways does the film reflect the socio-cultural and economic realities of Nigeria?
Thank you very much. The film is a clear reflection of what we Nigerians are going through. Right now, people are jackpotting in Nigeria right now because of the economic crisis we're going through. So that was the same thing that happened in the 1980s when SAP was introduced. As a result of SAP, devaluation of Naira. So if you go out, the moment you go out, one of the women I interviewed, her name is street name. I use street name for all of them. That's what they call them. Madam J. She is one of the richest women that ever went to Italy from Benin. That she had been working as sex worker in Nigeria before she left in 1989. Why? When she graduated from secondary school, there was no job, there was nothing for her to do. So she left Benin to the north. Why did she leave Benin? Because it was a shame to her family, her people, if they find out that she was doing something like that. So she started making money in the north. And when she met her other friend that came from Goethe, that one told her that now you've gotten some money from the north, you can buy yourself Cali and go to Italy. There's lots of money in Italy. Really, there's a booming sex industry there. Oh, really? That was how she left. She left November 1989 to Italy. When she got there, she spent just 6 months. In 6 months, she came back to Benin, built 2 houses, not just down houses, 2 upstairs, made huge money. So the thing was profitable. At that point, everybody in the area, I grew up in the vicinity where this Madam J reigned. So I know how everybody began to run around Madam J. And this was in the early 90s when she returned back. She returned back in late 1980. She left in 1989, returned back in 1990. When she came back, everybody at that point was like, okay, our friends, how did you go? Help me, I want to get there too. That was how she started to help her friends. From helping her friends, other people now also wanted to move. This was how this woman, it was the society that even forced her into what you call trafficking. She is not regarded as a trafficker in Benin or in the Middle. She's regarded as somebody that helps people. She did not only send girls, she sent boys to Europe, both boys and girls, but more girls because girls had a job that was waiting for them there in the sex industry, while the boys had to also from the girls. So this was how the parade boys came about. That is part of my work. So the parade boys are actually the guys that get married to this international sex worker. So the point I'm making is that the economic situation of Nigeria has continually pushed and pulled people out of the nation. That is it. Even when you get a paid job, I have a paid job. I'm a lecturer in the University of Benin, but I'm just waiting. Let me finish my pay. Me too, I will jack back. It's a sin because I cannot continue to work and struggle. If not for grant or nothing you get, you'll be struggling. How much is my salary as a lecturer? 158,000. That is what comes into my account. It's humiliating, it's insulting, it's wrong. So this is the issue. I am the poorest in my family right now because I did not jack back when everybody was leaving. My siblings, my cousins outside Nigeria still send me money. And I'm almost 40. It's humiliating. Thank you.
Yeah, answer the question. Let me not break it.
Well, everything about the film reflects the socio-cultural stroke socioeconomic situations in Nigeria. One, this guy was ready to go to secondary school. The reality was the fact that the brother could not afford to take care of himself and his siblings, so he had to become an apprentice. During he finished his apprenticeship, his master could not settle him, so 6 years of his life was wasted. So the next thing is, oh, let me travel. He decided, the four of them that decided to travel, I'm sure April young men, they were probably in their 20s as at then, or maybe less than 20. It was because of the situation of the country. And at every point in time, like I said, they were negotiating their survival. The guy who was a graphic artist said he was a graphic artist and he was happy with it. But when the shop closed down, he needed to go somewhere. Somebody to fed him tells that, oh, it is happening in Burkina Faso. But you and that we are educated, you probably know that Burkina Faso's economy is not as good as Nigeria's economy, even at the worst of Nigeria's economy. You understand? The Chinese lady who said, I think God has abandoned me. But remember, she said, even at that, the people at home still expecting to send money. I still sent 150,000 naira. So that reflects that probably that economy is better than Nigeria's economy. The ladies in Europe, in Tangier, said it is better to beg than to go and be a hairdresser in Nigeria. So you see, the fact is, our economy, our socio-cultural realities already define us. However, one thing I always keep saying is the fact that I work with migrants' rights project, and we see a lot of people who said, oh, this is what I wanted to go and do there, but it never happened. And when they get back, it's another thing. My family relocated out of Nigeria in September last year. My wife was a banker. She was the regional manager of a bank in Ibadan, and she insisted that she wanted to go. Put my children out of school. We agreed that she should go, but I said I wasn't going to go. Like she said, I probably would have gone to, but I have a contract with the NGO I'm working with. You understand? So it's not so much of the fact that it is the socio-cultural reality. However, going abroad for us has become a status embellisher. It embellishes your status, embellishes the status of your family. We say we let picking abroad. My brother is abroad. My sister is abroad. So it's not so much about the reality of the fact that my wife, we have a 5-bedroom house in Ibadan. But my family, 4 children, and my wife, they live in a 1-bedroom flat in Sheffield. You understand? My wife does not care about that. My brother, who could have become something else, prefer to be Femi Williams in South Africa, and is still saying UK is the solution. You understand? And it's like that for everybody. So we get to realize the fact that our socio-cultural realities, socio-economic realities define us, and is the only compass that takes us around the world.
I think I appreciate the fact that he's also bringing, aside from the experiential intervention, he's also bringing the characters from the film, which is an intervention I actually wanted to make about the experiences of this character. I tried to group some of the characters. I said Francis and Ike. Francis is the guy you mentioned, going to Burkina Faso, and Ike, the filmmaker. There's a question of family. They are linked. The similarities between these two characters, they are both eldest son, so birth position is quite important in migration decisions. Then there's this question of schooling. Francis said he tried schooling, but it wasn't working. Meanwhile, for Ike, he had to drop out. Then there was trade. Francis learned graphics designer. Ike spent 6 years of his life serving and learning how to sell spare parts. To what end? Chineye and Ike, another character. Chineye and Ike, how are they related? I tried to look at it from the angle of faith. Francis kept talking about his chi. I think there's a sense of spirituality which we'll also come back to. There's a question of spirituality. Chineye saying she actually did the sacrifice that was requested of her to do. Then at one point, it felt like, if you don't be God, make you just leave me. And Francis also made a statement. He said, "It go better than a poor man prayer." How true is that statement? For Chineye and Ike, they were both stuck in Mali. Although for Ike, he made a detour to Gambia. Chineye is still stuck in Mali. Amina and Christelle, Ivorians stuck in Uga, Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. They hope to find themselves in Europe. Amina and Christelle started working as waitresses in Burkina Faso. Amina has been there for 14 years. Christelle has been there for close to 20 years. Golden Gucci and Laura. Talents. Golden Gucci is a rapper, a makeup artist. Trade. Makeup artist to get money to go to continue his journey. Laura. Talent she can make here. Trade is also business for her. Anita and Sandra. Family. Leaving their children behind. Anita leaving a 2-month-old baby at home, who is now 3 years, and Sandra leaving an 11-year-old baby at home, who probably was 5 or 6 when she left him. Then we have Francis and Christelle, invited to Uga. What informs the decision to leave your country? The question I want to ask you both is, what do you think of the experiences of these characters?
Thank you. One of the characters that actually struck me once more, again, I mentioned her earlier, was Anita. Anita has stepped out of this country and trying to go and meet up with her sister and left a 2-month-old baby at home in Nigeria. That's a whole lot. If you are a mother, you could understand what that is all about. And this has been the series of events over and over again. In 2017, I'll use my very childhood friend, we went to the same secondary school and the University of Benin together. 2017, she told me she was going out of the country. Why? Her sister had sent her some millions to relocate. I thought she was going to use the plane and normal routes. I did never thought about routes because I know she valued her body very well. So I never, not knowing that this young lady, she left her sister's child. Her sister's child, which was 5 years old, and her own daughter, who was around the same age. 2 of them going to use the Libya-Morocco route. This one is good. They were using vehicles to move from one place to the other. No, in that one, you tread more than you use. So I couldn't imagine it. When she called me, we have gotten to Libya. I said, my God. You mean you carry these children? And she eventually got to the sea. She wanted to actually cross the sea with 2 children. And she's not the only person. This has been tradition. You say, okay, my Lord. And the cheating that she just mentioned, all these people believe that when you come back from Libya and you say, the road was bad, oh, we drank piss, oh, we did they raped us, they did that. They'll say, now your luck, you don't get better luck. My own luck. My own luck will work for me. Then their mother, who are traditionalists in Benin, most of our mothers are Olokun worshippers. And they tell you that, okay, this is the way. When the children have made up their minds, sometimes that route is very dangerous, so some mothers don't even encourage it. Some of the kids, they live on their own. The moment they leave, the mother no longer sleep at home. They say, where's Mama Ade? They say, she's not there also. Where is she? She said, 3 of our children don't work out with legs. They say, hey, that means now work she go work out. What is that work out? That means she's moving from one native daughter's house to the other to make sure that these children get to their destination. That is the sacrifice that Chineye was saying. Chineye, for example, is a Christian. So they would have told that one prophet in one church would have told her that bring 200,000, let you to do sacrifice for you and whatever. She would have sent the money, and yet she has not seen progress. You understand? That's for those that are believers of that are Christian. Then for those that are African traditionalists, I grew up with my grandmother, who is an Olokun worshipper. Before these girls go, they will first come and be initiated into the Olokun worship, so that the Olokun God, who owns the sea, could help them to cross that sea. If you are with the owner of the sea, the king of the sea is with you, how will you get drowned? You understand these things. So these are preparations, the worship, the venerations and all that. So some that their father have died, their mother have died, they go and worship their father, their mother, so that it goes with them through the journey. So it's a very spiritual journey and it's a very powerful journey. Thank you.
For me, the characters came to life, and it was possible for me to identify with a number of them. And before I begin to x-ray the characters, or a few of them that I can x-ray, I will say something, and it will surprise you. I was supposed to go for a conference in the US just before the outbreak of coronavirus. And I'd gone to Abuja, I'd gotten my visa, my US visa. And I came back to Ibadan. So I stayed with my brother in Lagos because I came to Lagos. And somebody saw me and said, I came to meet me. He said, I heard that you are traveling to the US. I said, yes. He said, for academics. He said, yes. I said, for a conference. He said, and you want to come back? I said, yes, now. He said, how did you do it? I said, of course, I write it. He said, please, can you get somebody to write a paper for me? And he eventually got somebody who wrote a paper for him that was accepted at a conference that was not funded. And this guy right now is in Norway. I'm telling you, somebody in the academia wrote a paper for him. The paper was accepted at the conference, and the guy is in Norway now. But coming back, it goes back to what I said about survivalist. It's about survivalism. For Ike seemed to be the patriarch for all of them. You understand? You could see a shade of every one of them in Ike. Ike was not talking about Jesus, but he was talking about his chi. You understand? Chineye was talking about Jesus. Chineye said, even though I begin to question God, whether he has actually left me, and you get to a point in life, you begin to be like that, and you are like the lady that was breastfeeding, who was saying that even in all of this, I trusted love. I believed in love, but love failed me. But even though love has failed me, I have still not given up on life. You understand? Then the same thing you could say about the graphic artist. He came to Nigeria. Gucci came to Nigeria from Sierra Leone to learn makeup. But he feels that, okay, even though Nigeria is better than Cameroon, that is still not the last place. And I said, for me, what that clearly indicates that movement within the West African sub-region is easier. But integration of Africa to make sure that free movement in Africa is still a mirage. Forget the fact that Kenya and Rwanda have said that, okay, you can come without visa. But I say the North Africans still don't see themselves more of loyalty to the Arab League of Nations than to the AU. And that is why it is not easy for everybody from Sub-Saharan Africa to enter into that part. And I begin to wonder, all those Arabs, don't they want to go to Europe? They look at Europe across the Mediterranean. Don't they want to go? But the fact is that it is just a reflection of that life is better, conditions are better, situation is a bit better than what you have in south of the Sahara. However, one thing is, whether you are talking of the person who believed in love, whether you are talking of the person who got started, whether you are talking of somebody like Ike himself that was Oken, right? The film producer, that was Ike, that was bold enough to say, he said, my country could not make space for me, but Gambia made space for me. He learned filmmaking in Gambia, but like Gucci, who learned makeup in Nigeria, who decided that, oh, he must still get to Europe. Ike said, I must come back to Nigeria and we can see the result. So even at every point in time, there is always something that you can carve out. Whether it's enough for you to accommodate your dream is another problem entirely.
Thank you very much. That was interesting. So now, as we're talking about spirituality, we're already talking about God, we're talking about Jesus, we're talking about the local. I go back to that statement by Francis, we go better than poor man prayer. For Ike, Chi has to lead his way. We can tell that Ike actually does a lot of his Igbo culture. Even from the beginning of the film, you could see an Igbo masquerade, those that came in. You could see an Igbo masquerade. The song that opened the film, the score that opened the film, is an Igbo song. For him, Igbo culture actually permeates a lot of things about his life. Starting from being with his widow mother, having to listen to her, then having to take the responsibility of the eldest son and to go and learn trade. And he also made an emphasis on I think the way he said it was the Igbo trade system, if I'm not wrong. So the apprenticeship. Now, the question I want to ask, again, is related to the character, and it's on two things. There's the identity, there's the changing of name, the forming of a new life story and name, an identity crisis that comes with this type of migration, especially migrating outside Africa, migrating to Europe by road. There's the search for self, like in the case of Amina and Christelle. And there's the shame when you are not successful. My question is, how does this film depict the emotional and psychological impact of migration on these individuals or on other individuals that you know you can start?
Okay. For every single one of them, the ultimate was to go to Europe. But for some of them, at the beginning, it wasn't to go to Europe, it was always about a better life. But the reality is always the fact that we see that, okay, a better life, as we have seen depicted in films, or we read about, of course, you can't compare the better life in Europe or in the global north with what you have here. So for them, it's always the fact that, and because we are very deep spiritual people, we always believe that, okay, whatever I step into, it must be God that leads the way. And that's why, if you notice, he said something. Ike said something. He said, anywhere you get to, and you don't see an Igbo man, what did he say? He said run. He didn't say run, he said run. And that is the fact that that is buttressed by the fact that your chi, which is your personal God, will not lead you into the wrong place. However, so what happens to Chineke who got stranded in Mali? Or what happened to the man? I don't know, I mean, the guy that said, oh, Messi died. Messi, the tall, black, beautiful lady died. You understand? He got stranded, or rather, he decided to stay back. So at a point in time, even in negotiating our spirituality, you can either yield or you can be recalcitrant. You can either yield or you can rebel. In the case of Ike, he recognized the fact that anywhere I go, God leads me. And God made way for me in Gambia. The guy too said, oh, we will not. I saw a lady, a girlfriend of my roommate who died. I will not go beyond there. But Sandra and Laura said, we will put the water in the boat, and inshallah, we will get to Spain. How true that is left to faith.
Thank you very much. I want to read out some things I wrote down during the film. He said, I want to help my family. You know, you hear this thing among, you know, I would like to recognize it for they sponsor so many of my field work. So during field work, you will hear this over and over again. From every young girl that has stepped out of Nigeria, or that wants to step out, or that was repatriated and still want to go back, she said, I want to help my family. The family bond. The family becoming an issue for a first daughter. In my work, I analyze that the first daughter is the sacrificial lamb, usually in Benin. After the first daughter goes, she comes back, or over there she sends for the younger one, or moves to the father's eldest brother who does not have any child that is there. She picks from there and sends over there. And then the sister is saying, me, I want to also come. Like you hear the other young girl, it's not a Vera. She said, the one in the vehicle, she said, I will go back. She was returned from Morocco. She said she trekked. After going through all that, she said that she's going back. And this is the thing with all that comes back from Libya. I have interviewed more than 15 girls. They will tell you that they will still go back. I interviewed one that came from Australia. She told me, before she came back, she had run man. She had gone through so much. She was, and I'm like, okay, if you have a connection, you still go back. He said, the only thing keeping me here is that I am pregnant. The moment I have this baby, I will still go back to Australia. So you see the resilience. And you see, I don't know what to say, I will never return back to my country. this is the voice of migrants, especially those from Nigeria. For them, going back to Nigeria is a no-no, especially because there are expectations. Who are the people that put this expectation and pressure on them? We that are back home. Because everybody had gone and come back, especially in Benin. Mary go, she come, she build 4 flats for her mama, and me will come back and not go bring anything. The shame. Being deported in Benin, because growing up in Benin in the 90s as a young child, I've seen people that were deported. Maybe they were living in Ibuka-Onuoha before. They will not go back to Ibuka-Onuoha. They will not look for one of their aunties in Dumais or Ohoro to go and stay with, and I had been there before they get the move to move again, because it was a shameful thing to be deported. They will say, like, which kind of head you get, like bad head you get, you don't see good thing, you come back. If I mean, I'll let them like, some will like, they will run mad inside the plane. When you want to carry them, they'll start behaving. And the man person, you know, they'll start acting weird. They'll do like they'll have to take them to the clinic and hospital to treat them because they don't want to return back. It's like returning back to poverty, to lack, to everything. So why are we all running? Because our leaders have made our nation uncomfortable for us. Uninhabitable. I stand here and I cannot speak against my people. I cannot speak against my aunties. If they didn't go abroad, I won't be educated. One person abroad sent all of us to good private school, the best in Benin. Lydia, primary school, Greater Tomorrow Secondary School, they were the best. Because 1, 2, 3 persons made sacrifice for the entire family. Thank you.
Yes, you will have to wait, but let it marinate a bit so that you can have. When I was watching the film and preparing for this task, I was trying to say, okay, questions, family and personal experience. And like I said earlier, Francis Anike, eldest son. What I tagged it was birth position. I was just going to use birth position. But what we heard in the film was just eldest son. And for me, I'm like, well, I know I'm the first daughter, I know what I go through. And if I come out here and talk about eldest son, I know some people will be happy to talk about how they are also eldest son. But I'm glad about how she actually gave the narrative about the first daughter as a sacrificial lamb. So, has it marinated? Go ahead, so just add that to it.
Well, adding to what Pat said, the second part, adding to what Pat said, the second part is Chineye said something in the film. She said, if I go back, my family will not ask any question. He said, but it's a shame for me. And the fact is, I was telling my younger brother, Femi, you are the last boy. 8 children, you are number 7. Nobody expects anything from you. But he said, as in, how do I face my friends? He was 200 level English student in the university. So he has concluded that he has carved a position for himself and he must live up to that. So sometimes, even though on one side the family will ask, on some other side the family may not ask questions, but we are already setting the tone for ourselves that how do I face society? So there's always that pressure, overt and covert.
Thank you. Yes. Now we're talking about family, we're talking about birth position, the dimensions of trafficking and women. Now I want to ask that question about women. Good husband. Chineye was waiting for a good, she's hoping for a good husband to help her actually. I'm sure when she said that some of you will have reminded her of Christine, who was promised marriage. Wow, what is that story? She said, he left me with 4 children. And it's so telling that the last child was barely a year or 2. 3 months. Knowing that gender worries of migration and African youth are complex. I'm using gender worries because, of course, we talked about, I'm going to make reference to the girls, but she also mentioned the Pure boys, which I'll give her time to dwell on later. In the film, I think from 22 minutes, 30 seconds, there was the girls. I call them the girls. It took about 7 minutes of the film, where people were challenging that woman that the girls were going with. For some passengers, I quote, the girls know what they are doing, they are going to do. They are over 18 years old. And this is a question of legality. They are over 18 years old. Then the later still showed the woman and the girls being conveyed in a police vehicle. Legality. And there's also the question of forced labor, sexual violation. Forced labor, Christelle and Amina having to work as a waitresses, Laura and Sandra having to engage in street begging. My question is this. How do you think the film portrays the challenges and opportunities of migration for women?
Well, the answer is what one of them said, and like what Patsy said. Previously, ladies get to migrate accompanied, but now they go unaccompanied, despite the perils, despite the danger. So the transformation has set itself in motion by the reason of the fact that right now it's no longer about you depending on anybody. It's about you finding your square root by yourself. So movement for when you get to the high sea, like they said, the high sea does not recognize gender, whether you are a man or a woman. It does not recognize. And even on the migrant boat, a woman is not given any special treatment because you are a survivalist. Whether you are coming from Syria, you are coming from Libya, you are coming from Afghanistan, you are coming from Eritrea, you are coming from West Africa, it is a function of the fact that survive. When you survive, negotiate your survival with yourself, not by the reason of your gender. However, what now makes more women to do it, what she said, the success story is nobody is interested in the midst or the end. It is the end itself. When it comes back, the family is better, people you left at home, they are better, society recognizes what you have in your hand, not what your body has gone through. Nobody is interested in your story. We are only interested in your testimony. So it is the testimony, is the final story of the woman that makes light the perils or the danger or the vulnerabilities that may be peculiar to some women. Because they will tell you at the end of the day, where you know if you go, now ordinary woman go, now you come back. Ordinary woman go accomplish, you dey here. The question I used to say when I was younger was the fact that I grew up on Lagos Island. And it is either on Lagos Island in the 80s, you are either into drug sales, you are a peddler, or you are a trafficker. However, the next thing, after they start clamping down on everybody, you are either consuming drugs or you are selling. I sold, it's not a good thing to say, but I sold a little bit of it by the time I finished secondary school before I entered the university. And the question I always say when people start moving abroad is that if I get to the airport, if I get to Heathrow today, I don't know anybody in the UK, where do I go? And it took an illiterate who was not even as educated as I was, even though I was just out of secondary school, to say, have you ever seen anybody who gets to Heathrow and takes the next plane back by himself? You will always negotiate your survival, whether you are a man or a woman. It's about negotiating your survival. If you can negotiate your survival inside you, negotiate your survival away from your family, even where the skill type is not the same with yours, you can negotiate your survival. But who has a lion heart? It is that person that survives till the very end. And that is why you could see Laura and Sandra becoming meteorologists, they were reading the weather so well, interpreting it, and they will succeed because she said, I don't see myself for Spain, and nothing can make me come back.
Thank you. Talking about the issues of gender, the challenges of women, and issues of migration. I feel that there's a whole lot of, if you look at the movie, there's a whole lot of challenges. And let me quickly look at those young girls, for example. Most of them, their parents were told so many things, and they were told so many things, and that when you get to the place, you walk this, you walk that. Because I have interviewed somebody that one of the people I've interviewed during my research was going to, she went to Burkina Faso. But when she was leaving Benin, she was told that they were going to you. Her sister just woke her up and like, oh, somebody has come that will change our life. Oh, in their one bedroom apartment, yeah, let's leave. You know, me, I already have a baby, I can't go now, you have to go. And that was how she left. Not knowing where she was going to. It was when she got there that she knew that she was looking at Faso. What are we doing looking at Faso? I thought we say we are going to Europe. So you see those small girls, those 18 years old, whatever, they are going to different villages in Burkina Faso to work as sex workers. So you see that somebody also took somebody there, and that one now also paid her debt. She now also become a madam, now trying to bring other girls to work there for her. If she had spent 500,000 or 50,000 to take those girls there, they will pay double of it, that's 1.something million. And this becomes the narrative of many of these young girls. They don't even know what they were going to do. Some of them don't know. Some of them were fully aware that, oh, this is what we are going to do. But they didn't even understand the environment. Like I was talking about the Benin situation, that the first people, the first women that left, they didn't know, they went there for business. So when there, they knew what they were going to do. Then from the 1990s, lots of young girls that began to migrate. Some of them were aware that they were going there for sex work, but they did not understand the condition. One of the researchers that I spoke to from France, she was talking to me about the wood in France. How girls dwell and live inside that wood. That is where they sell sex. They thought that maybe it was the kind of position the ones you are doing in Nigeria. When you are doing wrong, they will call you and take you to a hotel with chilling and everything, you enjoy yourself. That's the ones or prostitution too in Nigeria. But over there, it's inside the bush. Nobody is taking you to a hotel because they are the lowest paid. There are different categories of prostitutes in Europe. Those from Nigeria are the lowest paid. And because they became so many, and this was because of the results. There is a section in my work where I talk about the influence of Benin women that went to the earliest women that left. They were in every corner, in every area. In this area, you see one Madam Italy, you see one Madam White House, Madam this, Madam Dollar, Madam Billion. They are all women that have once traveled many years ago. And they had good life. Their children were sent to best schools. So they had something that people wanted. And this was what encouraged all other women to like, oh, my child must also go there. Then it spoke about something about class. It became a class thing. In your family, if you don't have one or two persons abroad, like your family is under curse. A woman will tell you that Italy. That means I have 5 children, 5 daughters in Italy. She's boasting about it. Holland is a young woman, or Italy, meaning, so it became a bit of pride. This Hollandis I'm wearing was sent by my child from Italy. So, it became a thing of pride. A class. If you are not in that class, you are lost out. Thank you.
A round of applause for our panelists. You can do better. So the final question for them, then we'll take the mic to the side of the hall. The final question. 1 minute, 30 seconds to answer this question, please. This is a question that came out of the film. It's not from me. What can be done to ensure that people can dream in this country? Put differently, how does the continent ensure that people can realize their dreams? That's on the path of happiness. Then, the destination. What does the destination represent for the migrants?
Thank you very much.
Simple. For people to thrive and to reach the height of their potential or potentialities, just make the atmosphere, the situation, not necessarily perfect. Let the system work. If the system works, everybody will find his or her level. My friend will always say, anywhere you pour water, water will find a level. That is just a simple thing. Because what would make, for God's sake, I say it, I never thought of living outside Nigeria. And my wife was a regional manager of a bank. Regional manager. She used to tell me that, Feyi, I will pay your salary out of our own salary, conveniently. And she just woke up and said, and then it was inched on, we need a better life for the children. My son was in Covenant University. The other one was in ISI. So which better life, in quotes? But man, I couldn't dispute it. But if the system works, there is no way there won't be any tangible evidence for her or argument for her. When the system has failed, the system failed Francis, the system failed Ken, the system failed Chineye, the system failed Gucci, the system failed Amina, failed every one of them. So if the system failed and then the destination, it will never be open. They are not welcoming. Simple.
Thank you very much. Can you answer the question? Or do you want me to read the question again?
Yeah, I can answer the question. I think he has already answered the first part of the question, which is the situation at home, the system that is already failed. So I'll just focus on the issue of the destination. What does the destination mean to us? Those of us that want to step out of Nigeria, I went to, the first time I went out of the country was in 2013. I went to Switzerland for a short course. And this Benin issue, when I got to the airport, they had me on the road. The guy saw me and said, well, Benin girl, where did they go? Come find us. I said, I'm not finding anything, I don't have anything. He said, you won't me know what you want to do for that side, and you are returning back. I said, I'll be paper complete, I don't pay anything. So like, you don't rub just why. I said, who they say I rub just why? He said, no, Benin girl. I was like, see, see, I get admission letter for you. I go to court. Say, forget that one, take admission letter. Because I have been stigmatized that because I'm going to Europe, I'm going for something else, I'm going to work in the sex industry there, I'm going for greener pasture and all that. So I was held. And when I got there, just like his friend was asking, will you come back? My friend told me, if you come back to this Benin, I will so beat you. That's what she told me. So because the conditions at home is terrible. So when you get to Europe, you get to America, first you are breathing a fresh air. You are in a place where the system is working. I'm not saying Nepal. You will stay, you not rush and go and charge your phone so that NEPA will not take the line too. So you see this situation, it is a land of hope for every girl that will leave the country and get to Europe. For her life and her destiny have changed totally. I have a cousin who just graduated in Highland, but first she left to do international sex work many years ago. I'm talking about like 20 years ago. In Italy, from Italy, she got married, left and moved to Ireland and became a caregiver. Before you know it, she went to school. This was somewhere that couldn't finish secondary school in Nigeria. She's a graduate today. A land of hope that anybody can become something. So I celebrated her. I said there is a Benin woman who broke the impasse. That she did not allow her past to hold her back. That, I had done this before. She still became something. So many of our ladies who are going there for one or the other, they are students now. They are working and they are all doing well. Because they are in a system that gives you second chance and opportunity to become who you want to be. Every dream can be realized because the system is working. Thank you.
A round of applause for our panel. I'm not because I think you will have questions for them. So now I will invite, can I get a volunteer to pass the mic around? Okay. Once again, this is the second event in the collaboration with the Goethe Institute on African youth and migration. We had the first event in May, and we screened a film by Ike Nnaebue, No Simple Way Home, where we talked about Sudan, nationalism, and the like. So today we're talking about the socioeconomic factors that socioeconomic factors of migration and personal experiences. And I'm quite confident that a number of you will have found this very interesting. You have 1 minute 30 seconds for your question or comment, please. And I'll start with 1 minute 30 seconds. But if time does not permit, I'm going to change the timing. So don't say she has too much. I'm telling you now. Then to follow the event, or if you want to post about the events, it's TFSXGIMigration or GIXTFSMigration. Follow us on Twitter, TFS Movie Club UI, and GI_Lagos, that is the Goethe Institute. Then on Instagram, TFS is still TFS Movie Club UI. The event is being live streamed on Facebook, Thursday Film Series on Facebook. And if you want to join the TFS WhatsApp group, where we post, because this is the weekly event for us, every Thursday 4 p.m. So if you want to join the WhatsApp group, see Kiona, or you see Chris, the guy with the phone here, and you see me, they have a QR code that you can scan immediately and join the group. There's also a short web link for you. Please, I want to implore you, don't take pictures of the code, because we are actually quite, we are mindful of the privacy of our members. So we don't want you to take the picture of the code and have it on your phone, which is counterproductive. Please, just scan it, open the link, and join immediately. So now, I want to encourage the audience to be respectful and constructive in your intervention, because TFS is a forum to share your thoughts, your insights, and learn from others. Respect the time limit, like I said earlier, and when I do this, that means your time is, you have 20 seconds more, and when I do this, you just stop. Avoid, this is very important, please. Avoid interrupting, talking over, or dominating the conversation. I get, you want to do that, but make sure it is not disrupting the intervention. So first, I'll take 2 to 3 questions for the panelists. 2 to 3 questions for them. Or I wanted to just take 2 to 3 questions for them, then we'll talk about the film, or we just go in and we just go into it. But earlier, I informed you to take note of the following. What do you find most interesting about the film or memorable? How does the film use cinematography, music, and dialogue to create a realistic and engaging migration story? What are the other things that emerge from other things, not emerge? That's exactly a qualitative researcher. What are the other things that you could tell from this film? So I'll take 3 people first. Can I see your hands up? So I have 1, I have 2, I have 3. Okay, I'm taking 4. 1 from 2. So 1, you're 1. Madam, you have 2. Then I have 3 and I have 4. Please, mine is not a comment for questions. Be fast.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mise Adejoke. Well, I'll take, out of my first 1 minute and seconds, I'll take like 3 seconds to talk about what I noticed about the film. So the first question, what I noticed is actually the language. The language actually jumped out at me. I feel that when it was overly literary to the point of, you know that this person is a cultural, there's a term you use for yourself. I think the culture is not enough for that. So I think he actually came out, the way his imagery, the way he continues to refer back to his chi, and the way he continues to use the poetic language in describing his environment. For example, that statement about the moon. So I think that part, his use of language is, what do you call it? So the film is overly literary, in addition to it being expository without a documentary. So that's what has struck out to me. Now to the question I have about migration, and any of the 2 panelists can answer it. And it's that, now we've been talking about how socioeconomic factors push people to leave where they are coming from and then go to Europe for a better life. But then, I was arguing about this thing with a friend not too long ago, and then he was talking about the fact that even in the Bible, angels came from heaven and migrated to the earth. So the question I want to ask you is, how, as in, is it really just socioeconomic factors that push migration, or the desire for human beings to not be in a position? Because someone said, if we were meant to be stationary, God would have created us as trees instead of people who can move. So I just want to talk about that part, not just socioeconomic factors, but the desire to move from place to place. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. I consider it a privilege to be here. I really find the whole discussion to be very scintillating and interesting. Taiwo Olale is my name, from History Department, I'm a PhD student. It's like concerning prostitution that Mrs. Onuoha spoke about. I was privileged to be in Benin in 2018 for a reality show that was supposed to last for about 10 days. So when I got there, the hotel that we were lodged for the occasion happened to be in the GRA. So I called the convener of the event. I got there in the morning. So she told me that she was going to the governor's office for one thing or the other. So during the time before she came back, so it's like I moved around the whole some of the streets in the GRA, and I began to see mansions, big houses. I was wondering, who are the people that build this kind of houses? Are they senators in Abuja, or who are these kind of people? These people that build this kind of houses must be people from abroad or people in Abuja. Now, it's like they were actually magnificent houses. And by the time I began to speak with Mrs. Onuoha, when she began to relate together concerning her topic on the prostitution, I now had a better understanding. But however, what I would like to say is that I want to ask a question that she had given a very good representation about prostitution and how people traveled to Italy and other countries for greener pastures. Then does it now mean that this kind of trade, the sex work, does not have other challenges? For example, health challenges, or how do they manage? And does it mean that it's everyone that venture into that kind of trade that actually prosper in it? That's the question I want to ask. Thank you.
Hi, Jega. I got just one question, and that is, when you spoke about trafficking, it came in the same sentence as we blame it on the social and economic system. And it almost feels like we brushed apart, just brushed over the fact that the trafficking that came along with prostitution is actually a very, very, very heinous situation, like a very big problem for the people who are being taken to Italy through this woman. That's what's the question. I just want you to from your research, how is your research showing that it has affected the people, and how much can you blame it on just the economy and the system, and rather than just people being piece of shit? Pardon my. Can I rephrase it?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay, clear. I said, while you were talking about trafficking, that came along because of the prostitution trade. You said, but we can all just say that this is due to the social and economic problems of the country. And I just want to say that, how has your research shown that this is way more, has your research been able to,
to give insight to other factors that influences migration, aside from economic factors.
Especially in relation to that particular trafficking situation.
Okay, thank you very much. We have the final person. I'm going to give him the mic.
Alright, so my name is Andrew. My question is, we've had quite a lot of trafficking, migration, and all of that, and the fact that politics or socioeconomic has been a factor. My question is quite simple and straight. What do you presume to be the future of this culture of migration ravaging the African continent? What is the future of it? Because I want to believe that your research work must have shown some indications. We continue to have unrepentant, I'm not going to use the political miscreants, in our offices and all of that. So, with the issue of migration going on, nature knows the number of persons migrating at the very moment. So, what is the future of this culture of migration, which is still increasing?
Thank you very much. So I think our time is far running out. We'll have 10 minutes to round up. So I'm going to give them 1 minute 30 seconds each to answer this question. Then after that, I'll have 3 people talk about the film. And we'll still talk about migration too. But I'll really be interested in knowing your responses to the film itself. I'm sure it's also related to migration. But I like the fact that someone already talked about the imagery of cinematography. I'm very sure TFS is the film because it's a topic, so please go ahead. 1 minute, 10 seconds.
Yeah, thank you. 2 questions I'll take together. The fact is, I'm a researcher in diaspora and transnational studies. And one of the things we've established is the fact that mobility and movement is natural to human beings. Human beings will always move. However, there will be different factors that will inform their movement. I'm answering your question. People will move because we're not fixed to a space. People will always move. However, different factors will make different people move. Now, coming to your own or your own path. In diaspora study, we said this is the 4th wave of movement we're getting in Africa. The first wave was forced migration, the transatlantic slave trade and the trans-Saharan slave trade. The second wave came after colonialism, when people needed to go and study. You understand? It was easy to go and study abroad. The 3rd wave happened during SARS economic situation, and is a cascading of SARS that is happening right now. When the economy is good, people you hear story of people who said, I studied in America or I studied in Britain, and the day I finished my exam, the next boat I was back in Nigeria, and that was because the system was working. So if the system refuses to work, people will refuse to stay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll take 2 questions from Madam Alaide and the young man. That you saw beautiful houses in Benin that some of these women built and all that. That was the positive angle. That what are the negative issues? There's a whole lot of negativities that goes with trafficking for sexual exploitation. Many young girls died on the road. The Libya-Morocco route is never a safe route for anybody. So many young girls, some came back with babies that they don't know their father. One of my students with the school where I was a principal also migrated on that road. She became pregnant, came back, dropped the child after she had the baby, then went back again. So many young girls lost their lives. Diseases, sickness, and all that followed it. And there's a whole lot when you want to talk about the negative aspect. So much. It's just very few ones that became successful. And they were able to flaunt it to the eyes of everybody so that everybody wanted to be part of it. And so you spoke about the issues of the economic issue, beyond the economic issue. What was the other thing that led to the, I call it in my work, the expansion of international sex trade from Benin? One of those other issues was a whole lot of people. It now became a class issue. I said it before. That when you don't have somebody in Europe or in America, it's as if your family is the poorest. I'm not talking about the entire society. I'm talking about the poor. In my work, I said the people who usually go through this stories of migration are three categories in society: the extremely poor and the very poor, then the middle class later. This middle class, some of them even were teachers. I have interviewed teachers. They were teachers in Nigeria that eventually migrated because it became a class thing. The dollar-an-hour situation, for example, let me quickly say something about that. A woman who brought a man from Europe to Nigeria and to Benin and got married to the man, and her own husband in Nigeria was the driver. So this particular woman, that her husband is what we call parade or control. This woman, for example, now I want to let you know something. She was a teacher before she left.
Give me 30 seconds more. Just give us an overview of parade boys.
Okay, thank you. The parade boys are actually what we call the lovers. They can be the lovers or the husband to international sex workers from Benin. Or why? You know, when these women got to Europe, they did these things. And the first set that came back, they didn't find husband. Most of them did not see people that married them. So the second, some of them didn't even have children. It was their family member that inherited their wealth and properties. So the second phase of the movement, those ones became wiser. As they are making money and paying madam, keeping for their family, the next money they are making is to buy themselves a man. And these were boys that also used the Libya-Morocco route to travel. Some of them also use plane, they use different means. You know, they use Eastern Europe to move. And some of them were based in Nigeria. A boyfriend can take his girlfriend and give the girlfriend to the mother to send. So you say, I'm the one that sent her there. So the girl will be working, after paying mother, you know, he will now bring money to route in to Europe. So this was the pattern. And over there, for her to settle this man, she has to pay as far as $50,000. The man will say, I want to build a house in Nigeria. I cannot marry now until I finish building my house in Nigeria. I want to do this in Nigeria. So the young lady will gather money, help him to build a house in Nigeria for him to marry her. So this now became a business for some particular boys who we call the Croatian Show gang. From the late 90s, they now became a gang. They were just eating girls' money who went to Europe, who made money there. And if you hear them talk, the women will say, the body that you have used to build 4 flats, and a man wants to accept it, you have to also pay the man now. So they didn't see anything wrong with it. Even up to today, the women still worship any man that they've been able to pay that stayed with them. Some they paid huge money, they still did not pay. So I spoke about some gangs, different gangs that were in Genova in my work, and I can't go deep down.
She can't go deep down. I think I know a little about parade boys. I actually want her to describe what a parade boy looks like.
Okay. Do I have a parade boy? Sorry, what's your name? No, you guys, tell me your name. You see, it's very a hearing there. When a parade boy dresses like this, usually with trousers down here, looking good, with a lot of necklaces, it has to be gold. The girl will put the gold on her name, and the earring, that earring, please hold on, that earring is a sign of ownership that somebody has bought him.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. I think this must have been an interesting experience for both the audience and our panelists. Please, we can't continue this. We can't finish this conversation. Not that we can continue. We can't finish this conversation. We're going to suspend it today. And I want to implore us, please, let us continue the conversation on our social media pages. TFS, it's at TFS Movie Club on UI. If you want to continue this conversation this evening, just go on Twitter, tweet at TFS, start the conversation, and we're going to make sure that we share it. It's a video. We're going to make sure that we share the tweets, and hopefully we have people talking about the topic. And so we've had a lot of things. We've heard a lot of things from them. From one of our audiences talking about the imagery, talking about Ike's reverence of his chief, the use of language. It's also nice to see how French, English, and Pidgin were employed in the language, and to an extent that we actually understand, we got the gist of the film. Mr. Feyi talked about mobility and movement as being natural, and you could be a survivalist cosmopolitan or a normative cosmopolitan, that is going by vacation or going by road. Parts talked about, aside the economic factors, the economic push, not just the push, the economic benefits that comes with this kind of migration, not the best, but there's also the question of social standards, which is also an answer to the question raised by Chega. We are, of course, we kind of seem to agree to an extent that the system has failed us and the destination will never be open to us. Even if you are going as an academia for a conference, you have to go with at least, the Ghana must go full of papers to the embassy, and you will still be denied a visa on the premise that you won't come back to Nigeria because you don't have enough money in your balance, in your account balance. So hopefully we can start the conversation, even when the conference is funded. We can continue the conversation. Today we've talked about the socio-economic factors, the personal experiences, we've talked about the family, we've talked about the spirituality aspect of this issue. So I hope that we're going to see you next week. Next week we are hosting Amnesty International. We're going to have an event on Writing for Liberty. So it's going to be 4 p.m., not 3 p.m. Thank you very much. To join our WhatsApp group, CEKM, C Mide, C Kiona, C Chris. Thank you, and we hope to see you again. Have a good evening.